First contact crisis. The damaged Viridian scout ship tumbled through Earth's atmosphere, trailing emerald fire and debris as it plummeted toward the Atlantic Ocean. Captain Elena Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the U.S. horizon, watching with a mixture of awe and trepidation as the alien vessel slammed into the water 60 kilometers from their position, sending a massive plume of steam and spray hundreds of meters into the air. "All hands to alert status," she ordered, her voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through her veins. "Prepare rescue teams and remember first contact protocols. We approach with caution but offer assistance." The crew moved with practiced efficiency, despite the extraordinary circumstances. This was the moment humanity had both anticipated and feared since they first looked to the stars. First contact with an extraterrestrial civilization. Helicopters launched from the carrier's deck, maintaining a safe distance from the half-submerged wreckage. Captain Rodriguez watched the feed from their cameras, trying to make sense of the strange angular design of the alien craft. Its hull gleamed with an iridescent green-silver metal unlike any Earth material. "Captain, we're detecting movement and some kind of transmission," reported Lieutenant Park, her communications officer. The speakers crackled with strange sounds, clicks and harmonic tones intermixed with something almost like speech. The pattern repeated 3 times before the ship's AI began to identify patterns. "We are Viridian. Ship damage. Require assistance," came a halting, synthesized voice. Captain Rodriguez took a deep breath. "This is Captain Elena Rodriguez of the United States vessel Horizon. We are approaching to offer help." She followed first contact protocols established decades earlier, keeping her message simple and reassuring. "We come in peace." The rescue teams approached cautiously. They found 4 survivors, humanoid but clearly alien with their copper-tinted skin, angular features, and large violet eyes. The Viridians appeared weakened but not hostile. They allowed themselves to be brought aboard the Horizon, where the ship's medical team examined them with fascination. For 3 days, communication improved steadily. The Viridians carried advanced translator devices that quickly adapted to human language. They explained they were an exploration vessel mapping this section of the galaxy when a propulsion malfunction forced their emergency landing. They spoke of their civilization, the Viridian Confederation that spanned 17 star systems. Captain Rodriguez filed hopeful reports to her superiors. "They appear peaceful and have offered to share knowledge once their rescue arrives." But on the 4th day, everything changed. General Maxwell arrived with a special military detachment. He pulled Captain Rodriguez aside on the observation deck of the carrier. "New orders, Captain. We're taking over this operation." Rodriguez frowned. "Sir, we're making excellent progress with diplomatic relations. The Viridians have been cooperative and that's precisely why we need to act now," General Maxwell interrupted. "While they still think us naive, these aliens possess technology centuries beyond our own. We need to secure advantages while we can." Before Captain Rodriguez could protest further, General Maxwell's team moved in. They surrounded 2 Viridian engineers who had been granted permission to assess their damaged vessel. The aliens were forcibly separated from their equipment. Their translator devices were confiscated along with other technology. "This is standard procedure," General Maxwell insisted when Captain Rodriguez confronted him later. "We need to understand their capabilities before we commit to any interspecies agreement." They requested to signal their people, Rodriguez argued. "By blocking their communications, we're essentially holding them prisoner." General Maxwell's expression hardened. "Need I remind you of the chain of command, Captain? Our scientists need time to study their technology. Their distress signals will remain jammed until we decide otherwise." For days, the Viridians were kept isolated. Scientists and military specialists examined their equipment while the aliens' protests went untranslated. Captain Rodriguez watched with growing unease as the friendly first contact deteriorated into something resembling a hostile detention. 8 days after the crash, long-range sensors detected multiple objects entering the solar system at incredible speed. The Viridian Confederation had dispatched a fleet, not just for rescue, but for retribution. Earth's military forces scrambled to respond, despite having only days to prepare. Defense systems worldwide activated as the Viridian ships arrived with overwhelming technological superiority, energy weapons that could vaporize conventional aircraft and shields that repelled missiles. Admiral Chen coordinated Earth's defense from a hastily established orbital command center. She watched grimly as conventional forces suffered heavy casualties in the first engagement. "Deploy the AESIR prototypes," she ordered. These experimental weapons had been developed in secret for years, using a combination of gravitational manipulation and advanced projectile technology that Earth's scientists had been quietly perfecting. When the first Viridian cruiser approached within range of the Scandinavian defense grid, the AESIR cannons fired. The hypervelocity projectiles moved so fast that they couldn't be tracked by conventional means. They struck the alien vessel's shields with such force that energy cascaded across its surface in brilliant emerald flashes. To everyone's surprise, the shields failed. The second volley tore through the ship's hull, causing catastrophic damage. The cruiser listed in orbit, trailing debris and atmosphere. Admiral Chen's expression remained stoic, but her eyes widened slightly. "They expected us to surrender immediately," she observed to her staff. "They miscalculated." The battle continued for hours. Though Earth's forces were outmatched, their desperate defense and unexpected technological capabilities gave the Viridians pause. Human ingenuity and willingness to fight against overwhelming odds proved more formidable than the aliens had anticipated. Just as Earth's defenses neared collapse, new ships appeared in orbit. These vessels were different, more varied in design and bearing markings distinct from the Viridian fleet. They positioned themselves between Earth and the attackers. "This is the Galactic Council Peacekeeping Force," came a transmission on all frequencies. "Cease hostilities immediately." The Council ships enforced a ceasefire, compelling the Viridian fleet to withdraw to a higher orbit. Within hours, diplomatic shuttles descended to Earth's surface. Representatives from 7 different alien species arrived, expecting to be welcomed as saviors. An emergency summit was hastily arranged in a secured facility in Geneva. Earth's delegation, led by senior diplomat Aisha Quaim, arrived prepared with reports of the incident and demands for reparations for the Viridian attack. The Council representatives seemed bemused by human concerns. They presented their peace proposal with an air of benevolent superiority. "We offer Earth protection and guidance," announced the lead representative, a tall, serpentine being with luminous eyes. The Viridians acted hastily, but such misunderstandings are common when advanced civilizations encounter developing worlds. "Accept our oversight, and we will ensure your species' safe integration into the galactic community." Diplomat Quaim reviewed the document carefully, noting clauses about resource access rights, technology restrictions, and Council authority over Earth's defense systems. Her team analyzed every word, recognizing the proposal for what it was: colonization in diplomatic language. Quaim stood, her expression firm but polite. "We find these terms unacceptable." The alien diplomats fell silent, appendages frozen in shock. Never had a species at Earth's development stage rejected Council protection. Quaim's words hung in the air, marking the beginning of humanity's unexpected stand against the galactic powers. Diplomatic deadlock. The neutral station Harmonium hung in space like a glittering spiral, its elegant curves and translucent spires reflecting starlight in a kaleidoscopic display. Inside the Grand Council chamber, an atmosphere of tension had replaced the usual diplomatic formality as representatives from 7 advanced species took their seats around the massive circular table. Elder Vextor, a being with iridescent scales and multiple compound eyes, called the emergency session to order. The matter was urgent. The unexpected resistance from the primitive humans had thrown galactic politics into disarray. "The Earth situation requires immediate resolution," Vextor announced, mandibles clicking with agitation. Never before has a species at their development stage caused such diplomatic complications. The chamber doors slid open precisely on schedule. Earth's delegation entered with studied casualness. 6 humans walking in formation that appeared relaxed yet revealed military precision to the trained eye. Ambassador Aisha Quaim led the group, flanked by Dr. James Chen and Commander Sarah Okonkwo. 3 other specialists followed closely behind. The council representatives watched with barely concealed curiosity. Most had never seen humans in person before, noting how the delegates moved with purpose, scanning the room carefully, examining every detail of the chamber. "Welcome to Harmonium," Elder Vextor said, extending his primary limbs in the traditional greeting gesture. "We are pleased you agreed to continue negotiations in neutral territory." Ambassador Quaim nodded slightly. "Thank you for hosting us. Earth is committed to finding a peaceful resolution." The human delegation took their assigned seats. Commander Okonkwo remained standing just behind Ambassador Quaim, her face expressionless, but her eyes constantly moving, studying each alien representative in turn. Dr. Chen immediately began setting up monitoring equipment, checking readings that puzzled the Council security team. Elder Vextor tapped a crystalline device on the table. A 3-dimensional projection appeared in the center of the room, displaying the terms of the new peace proposal. "We have prepared an improved offer," Vextor announced. "We offer full technology transfers in medical science, energy production, and transportation. We grant Earth provisional membership in the Galactic Council with voting rights to be established after 20 years, and we guarantee protection from any further Viridian aggression." The proposal hung in the air, glowing with promise. The council representatives looked expectantly at the humans, certain such generosity would be accepted immediately. Dr. Chen studied the document through specialized glasses, then leaned toward Ambassador Quaim, whispering quickly in her ear. The ambassador's expression remained neutral, but she slowly shook her head. "Respectfully declined," Quaim announced calmly. A wave of murmurs spread through the chamber. The Viridian representative, still angry about their damaged cruiser, hissed quietly. "Perhaps," Quaim continued, "you could explain Section 23, Paragraph 8 regarding oversight of technology implementation." Elder Vextor looked surprised. "That is standard protocol. Council advisors would ensure proper use of advanced technologies, and these advisors would have access to all Earth research facilities." Dr. Chen asked. "For safety purposes only," Vextor assured them. "No developing world has ever objected to this reasonable safeguard." Commander Okonkwo made a small note in her data pad, her first movement in nearly 20 minutes. Ambassador Quaim nodded politely. "We would need that section removed entirely. Earth will determine how and where to implement technologies." The negotiations continued for hours. For every concession the Council offered, the humans found another clause or condition they deemed unacceptable. Their persistence was as impressive as it was frustrating to the Council members. Later that evening, Elder Vextor met privately with his closest aide in his quarters. "I don't understand," he complained, his scales darkening with stress. "We've offered them everything: protection, technology, membership. What more could they want?" The aide, a younger member of Vextor's species, looked equally confused. "They focus on the strangest details. Ambassador Quaim spent 40 minutes questioning our resource-sharing protocols, which are completely standard. She asked who determines needs and capabilities," Vextor said. "The Council does, of course," the aide replied, "as we have for 12,000 years." The next day brought no progress. The Council presented a third proposal with even more generous terms. Again, the humans declined. This time they objected to military cooperation clauses. Commander Okonkwo, speaking for the first time in the negotiations, questioned why Earth Defense Forces would need to be integrated into Council command structures. "For coordination purposes," explained the military representative from the Quetzar species, a being with metallic exoskeleton and 4 arms. "All member worlds participate in unified defense. Under whose ultimate authority? Okonkwo asked. The Council Defense Directorate, came the reply. Unacceptable, Okonkwo stated flatly. Earth maintains command of its own defense forces. During a recess on the 5th day, Dr. Chen made a discovery that changed everything. While scanning the station with his specialized equipment, he detected hidden communication channels. The Council representatives were receiving continuous instructions from an entity not present at the negotiations. That night, the Earth delegation reviewed this information in their quarters, confirming what they had suspected from the beginning. The Council was not a coalition of equals, but a front for something else. Their suspicions were validated the following day when a Viridian assassin attempted to eliminate Ambassador Quaim during a private meeting. Commander Okonkwo intercepted the attack with shocking speed, neutralizing the assassin before they could deploy their weapon. The Council representatives expressed outrage at the incident, but their protestations rang hollow when Dr. Chen presented evidence that the assassin had used access codes provided by a council member. This negotiation is over, Ambassador Quaim announced. Earth will be leaving Harmonium immediately. The council chamber erupted in chaos. Several representatives argued desperately for the humans to stay, while others threatened consequences if Earth rejected council protection. As the Earth delegation prepared to depart, they were approached by representatives from 3 lesser species, the Interi, the Krell, and the Myriad. These species had long been marginalized within the council structure, granted membership but little actual power. We wish to open separate negotiations with Earth, the Interi representative whispered, her fragile, crystalline form trembling with the risk she was taking. There are many who question the Council's authority, but have never had the courage to speak. Ambassador Quaim considered the request carefully. We would welcome dialogue with any species willing to treat Earth as an equal. Word of this meeting spread quickly through Harmonium. By the time the Earth shuttle departed, representatives from 5 additional species had made covert contact, expressing interest in independent relations with humanity. The diplomatic deadlock had unexpectedly revealed fractures in the Council's power structure, fractures that humanity was uniquely positioned to exploit. The Human Gambit. The Grand Council chamber of Harmonium had never felt so tense. One full cycle had passed since the humans had walked out of negotiations, and in that time, the galactic political landscape had shifted dramatically. Now, as the Earth delegation returned, the atmosphere was charged with a mixture of anticipation and dread. Ambassador Aisha Quaim entered with the same team as before, but everything else had changed. No longer were they approaching as supplicants, or even as equals. They walked in with the confidence of those holding a winning hand. Elder Vextor, his scales now a dull gray from stress, called the session to order. We welcome Earth's delegation back to Harmonium and look forward to resuming our discussions. Ambassador Quaim smiled. Thank you, Elder. However, today we are not here to respond to your proposals. Earth has prepared its own terms for galactic cooperation. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Never in the Council's 12,000-year history had a developing world presented its own terms. Dr. Chen activated a device, and a holographic document appeared in the center of the chamber, the Earth Accord. Our proposal is simple, Quaim continued. A new framework for interspecies cooperation based on principles of sovereignty, mutual benefit, and transparency. The Council representatives studied the document with growing alarm. The Earth Accord proposed a radical restructuring of galactic relations, eliminating enforced technology sharing, dismantling the centralized military command, and requiring public disclosure of all interspecies agreements. This is preposterous, the Quetzar representative sputtered, metallic appendages clicking in agitation. No single species can rewrite thousands of years of galactic order. We are not rewriting anything, Commander Okonkwo responded coolly. We are simply proposing an alternative. Any species is free to maintain their current arrangements with the Council or to consider our proposal. And why would any established world abandon the security of Council protection? Elder Vextor asked, attempting to regain control of the situation. Ambassador Quaim nodded to Dr. Chen, who activated another holographic display, perhaps because the protection comes at too high a price. The display showed detailed analysis of resource flows throughout Council-controlled space, revealing a pattern that had been hidden for millennia. Resources from developing worlds were being systematically diverted, not to support the Council's stated goals of mutual advancement, but to enrich a handful of the founding species. "We've had only weeks to analyze this data," Dr. Chen explained. "Yet we've identified resource misappropriation on a massive scale. Technologies promised to developing worlds have been consistently withheld while their resources were harvested. The Council's own records confirm this pattern." "Where did you get this information?" Elder Vextor demanded, his compound eyes flashing with alarm. "The Enteri, the Krell, the Myriad," Quaim replied calmly, "and 12 other species who have signed preliminary agreements with Earth. They provided access to their historical data, which your analysts never expected to be cross-referenced." The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Nearly half of the Council's member species had already made independent contact with Earth. "This is unprecedented interference in Council affairs," the Viridian representative hissed. "Perhaps," Ambassador Quaim agreed. "But then, your attack on Earth was also unprecedented. It forced us to innovate." On cue, the massive view screen at the front of the chamber activated, showing a breathtaking sight: an Earth vessel emerging from what appeared to be a self-generated spatial distortion. "The EE is Prometheus," Commander Okonkwo announced with quiet pride. "Humanity's first faster-than-light vessel, developed in the 6 weeks since your attack." The Council representatives stared in disbelief. The technology for FTL travel had taken most species centuries to develop after first contact. "Impossible," whispered the Quetzar representative. "You gave us a significant advantage," Dr. Chen explained. "When you attacked Earth, you exposed us to advanced technology. When you attempted to negotiate, you revealed your political structures. In trying to subjugate us, you provided exactly what we needed to catch up. Our scientists have been working on theoretical models for decades," Commander Okonkwo added. "Your arrival simply confirmed we were on the right track and accelerated our development." Ambassador Quaim stood, drawing all eyes back to her. "The Earth Accord has already been shared with every species in Council space. We've established direct communication channels that bypass Council controls. For the first time in millennia, member species are talking directly to each other, without intermediaries." The implications were clear. The Council's monopoly on interspecies communication had been broken. Their ability to control the flow of information, technology, and resources was crumbling. "This is why humans rejected every peace offer," Quaim continued. "Not because we didn't want peace, but because we recognize that what you call peace is actually subjugation. Humanity will never accept terms that diminish our sovereignty or potential." Elder Vextor's scales had paled to almost white. "You've destabilized a system that has maintained galactic peace for thousands of years." "Have we?" Quaim challenged. "Or have we exposed that your peace was built on exploitation? The choice before each species is simple: continue under a system that benefits the few, or join an alliance of equals." As if on cue, the chamber doors opened. Representatives from 23 species, nearly half the Council's membership, entered and took positions behind the Earth delegation. "The Mutual Cooperation Alliance is now formally established," announced the Enteri representative, her crystalline form glowing with purpose. "We thank humanity for showing us there is another way." In the days that followed, the Council scrambled to maintain control, offering unprecedented concessions to prevent more defections. But the damage was done. The Earth Accord had struck at the very foundation of their power, the belief that the Council's way was the only way. 3 standard months after first contact, humanity had achieved what no species had managed in 12,000 years. They had transformed the galactic order not through superior technology or military might, but by asking questions no one had thought to ask, and by refusing to accept terms no one had thought to refuse. As the newly commissioned Prometheus prepared for its first diplomatic mission to Centauri Prime, Captain Elena Rodriguez, the same officer who had first welcomed the Viridians aboard the Horizon, stood on the bridge and reflected on how much had changed. "Set course for the Centauri system," she ordered, a smile playing at her lips. "It seems we have allies to meet." The galactic powers had expected humans to be grateful for their offers of peace and protection. They had never imagined that humanity would not only reject their terms, but rewrite them entirely. As news spread throughout the galaxy of Earth's rise and the Council's stumble, a phrase began to circulate among the stars, whispered in trading hubs and diplomatic enclaves. "Never underestimate humans. They don't know what's impossible until after they've done it."